Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan John.
And I'm Jyotsna Kumar. And on the show today, after a fresh round of missile exchanges, Iran and Israel say that they have paused military operations. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said Israel is holding fire for now, but warned the fight against Iran and Hezbollah is not over. Iran, meanwhile, claimed it ended operations after delivering what it called a painful response, and the White House has now confirmed that Trump had called Netanyahu to discuss the crisis. An Israeli official also said that Israel had halted its strikes at his request. We'll get you all the details and discuss more what comes next on the show.
There's more from the U.S. A federal judge on Monday voided President Donald Trump's requirement of a $100,000 application fee for the H-1B visas, ruling that he lacked authority to impose this new policy for a program used by companies to hire highly skilled foreign workers. And of course, Indians are largely affected by the H-1B visa, and this is in specialized fields. We'll be bringing you the details on that. Let's start with the headlines first. This is World DNA.
U.S. President Donald Trump booed at Madison Square Garden ahead of NBA Finals game as he attends the match in an executive suite with heightened security at the venue. Fans jeer when he appears on screen during the national anthem.
Iran's top negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says Tehran will turn U.S. naval blockade into another defeat for their enemy, while accusing U.S. of breaching understandings. Says Iran seeks to end the war and ensure lasting security, but does not trust the other side.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israel will respond with force if Iran attacks again, warning against a new equation involving Iranian and Hezbollah retaliation for Israeli strikes in Lebanon.
Israeli media reports Tehran's Imam Khomeini International Airport reopens after a brief closure following missile exchanges between Iran and Israel, with Hajj pilgrimage flights from Saudi Arabia resuming.
Italian prosecutors investigate Israel's Itamar Ben-Gvir over alleged mistreatment of Gaza flotilla activists with possible charges, including torture and kidnapping. He denies wrongdoing and says he will continue supporting IDF.
At least 4 people killed, 10 others wounded in Russian strikes in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region. Regional governor says Russian forces hit the city of Shugev.
France and Germany expressed regret over the failure of Dassault Aviation and Airbus to reach an agreement on jointly developing a next-generation fighter jet, which was considered important for European defense cooperation.
Protests in Bolivia escalate as demonstrators clash with police in Cochabamba, with dozens arrested amid ongoing nationwide unrest over President Rodrigo Paz. Protests disrupt transport and cause shortages of food, fuel and medicine.
OpenAI has confidentially filed for a U.S. IPO, joining rival Anthropic in a race to public markets as investor appetite for artificial intelligence surges. The move could set up one of the biggest tech stock debuts in history.
Starting with West Asia, Iran and Israel have halted attacks on each other after the two countries exchanged fire for the first time since April's truce.
And Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced that Israel was temporarily holding fire hours after Tehran said it had ceased its military operations.
Tehran launched missiles at Israel on Sunday, saying the attack was in retaliation for an Israeli strike on Beirut. Israel struck back, triggering another round of Iranian missiles before Tehran announced that it would cease fire.
Netanyahu reportedly called off further strikes on Iran despite fighter jets being ready on the runway after a warning from U.S. President Donald Trump.
Now, according to Axios, Trump cautioned Netanyahu against escalating the war and suggested Israel could find itself isolated without U.S. backing it if it proceeded with major retaliatory attacks. He told Netanyahu, and I quote here, "Bibi, you better be careful or you will be on your own very soon," quote unquote, Donald Trump.
Well, Tehran has said it would attack again if Israel continues strikes in Lebanon, while Netanyahu has warned that Israel would respond with full force if Iran resumes attacks.
Well, the Israeli Prime Minister, in a televised address, said that he has told Donald Trump that Israel has a full right to self-defense.
Israel has the full right to self-defense, and we exercise it whenever necessary. I say this to you, dear citizens of Israel, just as I say it with appreciation and respect in my good conversations with my friend, President Trump.
According to Lebanon's health ministry, violence continued in southern Lebanon, with an Israeli strike killing 5 people in the city of Tyre. Another strike in the Nabathi district left 7 dead, while a third attack in Marwaniyeh killed 2 people.
The Israeli military said that it had detected projectiles launched towards its troops operating in southern Lebanon. It said that some were intercepted while one landed near soldiers without causing any casualties. The military later reported intercepting a suspicious aerial target launched from Yemen, adding that no injuries were reported there either. All right, to discuss more on this, we're now being joined by Colonel Rich Outzen, a former military and civilian advisor at U.S. Department of State and senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, joining us live from Washington, D.C. Colonel Outzen, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining us here again. Let's start right off, sir. Israel has the right to self-defense. They've made it clear. Iran vows harsher strikes on Israel if it hits Lebanon, while Hezbollah and the Houthis are continuing their strikes towards Israel. This is an escalation loop. What's the off-ramp?
Well, I think both sides, in this case, both Israel and the Iranians, are really trying to get inside the mind of President Donald Trump. Because at a certain point, Donald Trump is going to either offer concessions to Iran in order to get some sort of an agreement and an off-ramp, or he's going to press much harder, which is what the Israelis want him to do. So I think what we're seeing here is sort of a game of chicken, where Iran has proven that it can continue to absorb blows and punishments. It's dispersed its command and control. There is no easy victory to just knock over the Iranians. And at the same time, Israel's playing with some time limitations as well. Their political pressure in the United States and sentiment is not as entirely pro-Israel as it has been. I think both of these countries are playing a game of chicken here by sort of pressing on one another and hitting as much as they can, knowing that Trump wants an agreement. He wants this to end. So who will, at the end, be able to convince Trump that he should come down on their side and put pressure on the other to stop? I think that's what we're observing here now.
In that case, how do you observe the condition that Iran has put forward, saying that it's one of the condition is stopping the attacks in Lebanon, while Israel says they're not going to stop, they're going to continue going in and attacking. Where do you think U.S. will play a role here? Because Israel is not willing to stop there. Iran is not willing to go to a peace talks without this happening from Israel's side.
Yeah, you've hit on a very important point. That's at the heart of the negotiating strategy, right, for both sides. For Iran, it's important for them to maintain proxy control over Hamas in the Gaza Strip if they can, and over Hezbollah in Lebanon. These are groups that they've supported for a long time. So to the extent that they can wrap them into the conflict and say, look, Trump needs to have an end to the fighting in the Gulf because of oil and gas prices. And if we can tie that to the fighting in Lebanon, then we can protect Lebanese Hezbollah. So Israel, on the other hand, says these are separate things. And we understand, we've taken care of, at least for the next several years, the Iranian nuclear program. The U.S. wants peace in the Gulf because of the oil prices and the Straits of Hormuz. But we still have to be concerned about Hezbollah and Lebanon. So that's the dividing point. And the Iranians want to tie the two together. The Iranians very much want Trump to have peace or to push for peace deal in both the Gulf and in Lebanon. That would serve their interests in terms of maintaining a proxy network. The Israelis, on the other hand, say these should be separate. We should be allowed to defend ourselves on the Lebanese border, regardless of what's going on in the Gulf. So we'll see who wins in that battle, both for Trump's mind and the battle for pressure, economic and military, on both fronts.
Colonel, do you foresee a situation where Israel find itself on its own in this entire West Asia quagmire?
Well, look, I spent 4 years in Israel in the U.S. government, and I have a lot of sympathy for Israel. I'm a fan of Israel, and a lot of Americans are. But I have to say that this current war is testing the general bipartisan American support for Israel, because what's emerging both on the left and on the right is a view that Israel sort of sold a bill of goods to President Trump. They indicated that this would be like Venezuela. You'd go in, you'd make a quick military strike, you'd get some concessions and a more pliable government. That didn't turn out. So that's sort of an error in judgment. But then the other issue, now we've seen this come out with reports over the weekend coming in today that Israelis are now spying on the negotiating teams from the United States. This harkens back to some less pleasant times in U.S.-Israel relations. Like, it's always going to be the case that the U.S. wants a healthy and strong Israel. We support Israel, we do. But there's been ups and downs in this relationship. I would say that the course of the war in Iran, and especially these spying allegations, haven't been the best moment. So I think it's not conceivable that Israel will find itself alone, but it is conceivable that Israel will face a U.S. president and bipartisan consensus that says, stop. This is enough, and this is not the war. This is not the right time. Kind of putting a little bit more pressure on them to conclude things on terms other than what Bibi Netanyahu seems to want.
That's on Israel. How about Iran? Because, of course, we had Trump who said that there's about 20% of its missile left. Of course, that's to be seen if that's true or not. But how long can Iran take this war forward? How long can it survive with its missile stockpile, according to you?
And as you mentioned, that they've already exuded the ability to absorb strikes and still continue. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, I think it's less about, for Iran, it's less about how many missiles they have left and more about the oil. And by that, I mean, so there's certain factors that have to go with, because everything for Iran is strategically premised on their economic dimension. Their economic dimension is tethered to the production and the export of oil. So there are certain factors about, if you can't get the oil out, then things start to back up in the oil wells, and you can only store so much once your storage capacity is fulfilled, and then water starts to seep into the wells and so forth. So there's technical matters that kind of put a timeline on the Iranians for oil export. Otherwise, they're facing a decade of damaged oil export capacity. So that's a strategic issue of the first order. So they can say, we'll win this war, we'll fight the next war, we'll fight again in 3 years, 5 years. But if you cripple your oil industry from the Iranian perspective, then that puts a real pressure on the regime. So I think the timeline there has to do with when Trump's calculus is how much does a gallon of petrol cost in the United States, and how close do we get to the elections? That's in competition with the Iranian looking at the baseline of their oil fixtures and their oil reservoirs, and when the water starts to seep in. I can't predict that precisely, but I think the pressure is going to come on the Iranians in the next 2 months. And I don't know if Trump's got a month or 2 months or 3 months before he starts to pay too big a political price. We're going to have to watch that time race, but those are the kind of the principles that will guide the decision.
I see your points. There's pressure and mounting pressure on both sides. Colonel Richardson, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Good to be with you.
Well, in other global news, the United Nations has warned that Palestinians in the West Bank must be protected.
And this as violence and security risks continue across the occupied territory. And this is after the Israeli military opened an investigation into the killing of a 7-month-old infant in the occupied West Bank after troops opened fire on a family's car in Hebron. The baby died and the parents were lightly injured.
While the army initially said soldiers fired after perceiving a threat, an early inquiry found the victims were unarmed civilians, prompting a formal investigation.
Palestinians in the West Bank must be protected as required by law, and perpetrators of violation must be held accountable.
And UN Deputy Spokesperson Farhan Haq also reported an Israeli raid in Balata refugee camp in Nablus, where one Palestinian was arrested and clashes left residents injured or exposed to tear gas.
On Monday, the Onion missile strike damaged 4 houses in West Bank during multiple waves of attacks following earlier rocket fire from Yemen's Houthi rebels. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs warned that debris from intercepted missiles poses serious risks, citing past regional escalations.
Furthermore, the UN said that it does not accept Israel's closure of Gaza border crossings, warning that civilians depend on continuous humanitarian aid and commercial supplies for survival. UN Deputy Spokesperson said Israel closed the Kerem Shalom and Rafah crossings after recent missile attacks, leaving no open entry points, though aid distribution inside Gaza continues.
The Secretary General is deeply concerned by the decision to close the Kerem Shalom and Rafah crossings and suspend the entry of supplies into Gaza. He calls for the immediate resumption of humanitarian movements at scale into and throughout Gaza.
Meanwhile, Italian prosecutors have opened an investigation into Israel's far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir over the treatment of activists involved in a Gaza flotilla last month. According to a judicial source, he is suspected of torture and kidnapping of Italian citizens among the activists.
If the probe finds sufficient grounds, prosecutors could seek a formal trial. In response, Ben-Gvir said that he would not be deterred by the investigation and would continue supporting Israeli forces. A U.S. judge has blocked President Donald Trump's $100,000 annual fee on H-1B visa applications.
It ruled it as an unlawful tax that violated federal administrative law and the Constitution. And now Trump had raised cost of visa for highly skilled workers in executive order last year, and 20 Democratic state attorney general had challenged the fee.
In his 42-page ruling, U.S. District Judge Leo Sorokin in Boston vacated the sweeping fee, finding that the fee amounted to a tax rather than a regulatory restriction. Since the Constitution gives Congress, not the President, the exclusive power to levy taxes, Trump lacked the authority to impose it.
The Trump administration is widely expected to appeal the ruling. The White House said the administration is confident that the order will be reversed on appeal. Well, Trump imposed the charge last September via presidential proclamation, arguing that the H-1B program has enabled the large-scale replacement of American workers.
The H-1B program offers 65,000 visas annually, with another 20,000 visas for workers with advanced degrees, approved for 3 to 6 years. Employers seeking a visa for a foreign worker before Trump's proclamation typically paid about $2,000 to $5,000 in fees, depending on various factors.
Now, despite the raised fee, more than 200,000 people had applied for the visa in fiscal year 2026. Indians dominated the applications, making up 71% of all H-1B approvals. Chinese nationals come second at nearly 12%. India and China together account for over 80% of all H-1B approvals, while no other country except Canada reaches even 2% individually. The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has been suspended amid sexual abuse allegations.
The ICC's governing body announced the decision on Monday as Karim Khan continues to face accusations of sexual misconduct involving a member of his office. The 21-member Bureau of the Assembly of States Parties, which oversees the court, voted to suspend Khan with immediate effect. The body said that the move was approved by a qualified majority pending a final decision by the full assembly representing all ICC member states. However, the Bureau stressed that the suspension does not prejudge the outcome of the case.
Now, Khan had repeatedly denied the allegations. He has been on leave since May 2025 after stepping aside to contest the claims. The suspension is unlikely to disrupt the day-to-day functioning of the court.
Karim Khan is one of the most recognizable figures at the International Criminal Court. The British lawyer drew global attention after seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister of Israel Yoav Gallant over the Gaza war. The move sparked a diplomatic storm, with the United States imposing sanctions on Khan in response to the ICC's actions. The Trump administration has launched what officials describe as the largest denaturalization effort in recent U.S. history.
The Justice Department is now seeking to revoke the citizenship of 17 naturalized Americans, arguing they obtained citizenship through fraud or concealed serious criminal activity. Denaturalization, which is a legal process of revoking citizenship from a naturalized citizen, is rare and can only happen through federal courts.
Now, officials say that the individuals targeted in this latest round are accused of either obtaining citizenship through fraud or hiding serious criminal conduct during the naturalization process. Among those named are individuals convicted of child sex offenses, fraud-related crimes, money laundering, and immigration violations.
According to reports, the federal prosecutors argue that several of the accused failed to disclose criminal histories, use false identities, or otherwise do not meet the legal requirement of demonstrating good moral character when applying for U.S. citizenship. The U.S. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said that citizenship is a privilege, not a right, and insists that the Department of Justice maintains zero tolerance against those who abuse the immigration system.
Now, the move reflects a major escalation from previous years. Under the Biden administration, 24 denaturalization cases were reportedly filed over 4 years. The Trump administration, on the other hand, has already surpassed that pace. The latest list includes immigrants originally from Haiti, India, Mexico, Jamaica, Cuba, Colombia, and Philippines.
The administration calls it accountability. However, the unprecedented move is another battle over citizenship, which is set to become a major flashpoint in America's immigration moves.
Red state, we're going there too. But it seems that it's heavily. I think you have a chance of doing that. We would have much more than about.
All right, well, it's now time for a very short break on World Day. We'll be back with more news and updates on the other side. We'll leave you with images that have been drawing attention from across the world. Right, we'll be right back.
turned out to be the most successful World Cup from the standpoint of what's happening.
The FIFA World Cup is being co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico and kicks off on June 11th. For the first time in history, the tournament expands to 48 teams playing a record 104 matches.
Get all the updates from the 2026 FIFA World Cup only on WION.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their time, celebrating, singing, dancing, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines at this hour.
India slams Pakistan at UN Security Council for weaponizing Afghanistan's landlocked status and carrying out deadly airstrikes. Ambassador P. Harish calls Islamabad's denial of transit access for Afghan traders trade and transit terrorism.
J.D. Vance says U.S. interests in potential Iran nuclear deal may differ from Israel's position. He adds that President Trump believes long-term agreement is possible. He says U.S. will continue pursuing this deal regardless of Israel's views.
Iran's top negotiator Ghalibaf says Tehran will turn U.S. naval blockade into another defeat for enemy while accusing U.S. of breaching understandings. Iran says Iran seeks to end war and ensure lasting security, but does not trust the other side.
The Israeli Prime Minister says Israel will respond with force if Iran attacks again, warning against a new equation involving Iranian and Hezbollah retaliation for Israeli strikes in Lebanon.
Italian prosecutors investigate Israel's Itamar Ben-Gvir over alleged mistreatment of Gaza flotilla activists with possible charges including torture and kidnapping. He denies wrongdoing and says he will continue supporting IDF.
Donald Trump booed at Madison Square Garden ahead of the NBA Finals game as he attends the match in an executive suite with heightened security at the venue. Fans jeer when he appears on screen during the national anthem.
North Korea and China reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening bilateral ties and supporting each other's interests. Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping hold summit talks, agreeing to deepen ties to defend each other's sovereignty and security.
Protests in Bolivia escalate as demonstrators clash with police in Cochabamba, with dozens arrested amid ongoing nationwide unrest over President Rodrigo Paz's protests disrupt transport and cause shortages of food, fuel and medicine.
Oil prices edged higher with Brent crude near $94 a barrel and U.S. crude above $91. Investors are awaiting clarity after Iran and Israel signaled a halt to attacks, while concerns over regional supply risks continue to support prices. The Philippines is reeling from the 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck on Monday.
The tremors toppled buildings, sparked tsunami warnings across the region. At least 35 people are dead. National disaster authorities say that at least a dozen people were still missing, while 134 people have sustained injuries. A series of powerful aftershocks rocked the area from about 2 hours after the first quake, with the largest measuring magnitude 6.5. In the southern Philippines, many residents spent the night outside.
We really panicked when we experienced the quake. We panicked because it was really strong. We got really scared. It was traumatizing.
The quake struck at about 7:37 a.m. local time. Children were in school when the tremors hit, and the videos like you see on your screens began emerging from the Philippines.
The earthquake struck off the coast of the Philippines' Mindanao Island. The earthquake initially triggered a tsunami warning in the Philippines and other nearby nations. However, the warning was later rescinded.
Now, General Santos City was among the areas that bore the brunt of the damage. Buildings collapsed across the city of 700,000 people, trapping some beneath rubble.
All I can say now is, I am just waiting for his dead body. I no longer expect him. There is nothing I can do anymore. All I can do is cry, imagining the good things he did in the world.
The Philippines faces earthquakes regularly. This is because the country is on a seismically active zone known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. Just last October, Mindanao was rocked by a pair of earthquakes of 7.4 and 6.7 magnitude.
It was really strong. We've been through several earthquakes here before, but the one that happened earlier today, it was much stronger.
China's foreign ministry has backed stronger cooperation between Beijing, Moscow and New Delhi.
Well, during a media briefing, China's foreign ministry spokesperson Lin Jian has said that New Delhi and Beijing are cooperation partners, not competition rivals. And the statement comes after Russian President Putin said India and China are trying to resolve issues of mutual interests, including the border issue. Lin Jian added that the China-India border situation is currently generally stable and the two sides have smooth communication channels.
Additionally, China's foreign ministry spokesperson said sound relations between China, Russia and India are conducive to regional and global peace, security, stability and prosperity. He also said that China is ready to maintain communication with Russia and India to advance cooperation among the three countries.
Now, China, Russia and India have expanded cooperation in recent times. Multinational forums such as SCO and BRICS have emerged as key platforms for expanding engagement among the three countries.
India-China relations have recently stabilized after years of tensions due to the military standoffs along the line of actual control.
An Indian origin woman is set to challenge for the top job in America's second largest city.
Los Angeles City Council member Nithya Raman has advanced to a November runoff against Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, setting up an unexpected contest between the two Democrats and former political allies.
Well, the 44-year-old Raman edged past former reality TV star Spencer Pratt to secure a spot in the runoff against the incumbent mayor. Pratt, who entered the race after losing his home in the 2025 wildfires, had maintained a lead for days. But as vote counting continued following last week's election, Raman surged ahead.
Interestingly, Raman made a late entry into the race despite having earlier endorsed Bass for re-election. Her late challenge and rapid rise have drawn comparisons with New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who captured attention with an unconventional campaign.
Well, born in the Indian state of Kerala, Raman moved to the United States with her family at the age of 6. After becoming an American citizen at 22, she returned to India and founded an NGO called Transparent Chennai. The organization worked to improve access to basic services such as water, sanitation, and land rights for slum communities. And following her return to Los Angeles in 2014, Raman worked in the office of the city administrative officer, where she analyzed public spending on homelessness. And she later co-founded the Sela Neighborhood Homeless Coalition. Raman also served as the director of Time's Up, the anti-sexual harassment organization established in the wake of the #MeToo movement. In 2020, she made history by becoming the first South Asian elected to the Los Angeles City Council.
Now, in November, Raman is set to face Mayor Karen Bass, who was until recently widely seen as a close political partner. Raman has defended her decision to enter the race, saying residents across Los Angeles are demanding change.
Announcing her campaign, she argued that the City Hall has failed to do enough to tackle the worsening housing crisis. With Asians making up around 12% of Los Angeles' population, attention is now turning to whether the city could elect its first mayor of Indian origin.
Tensions are boiling in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. A massive shutdown and protest movement is set to take place on the 9th of June today.
And this even as the region reels from days of deadly violence. According to reports, clashes between supporters of a banned organization and security forces have left at least 11 people dead, while more than 70 others have been injured. Now, the unrest has triggered fears of a wider law and order crisis in the region. The protests and clashes follow contentious elections, which took place amid heavy restrictions imposed by Pakistani authorities.
Earlier, police opened fire on two prominent leaders of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's most prominent civil society platform, that's the Joint Awami Action Committee, JAAC. The latest demonstrations were triggered by the decision to reserve 12 seats in the 45-member Legislative Assembly for refugees who live outside Kashmir but elsewhere in Pakistan.
The protesters have accused the authorities of using excessive force to crush dissent. Several leaders witnessed violent confrontations as demonstrators took to the streets. Reports suggest police resorted to firing and tear gas shelling to disperse crowds. Rawalakot was among the areas that saw some of the fiercest clashes.
Now, ahead of the shutdown call, authorities tightened security across Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Section 144 was imposed in Muzaffarabad. Internet services were suspended and additional security personnel were deployed at key locations. Despite the restrictions, protest organizers have vowed to press ahead with their demonstrations. Now, the latest violence highlights growing public anger in the region, which has seen repeated protests over governance, economic hardships, and the handling of dissent.
A famed Vietnamese-American Buddhist monk, the Venerable Panakara Thera, who has garnered fame for leading peace walks across the United States, has arrived in New Delhi to undertake a walk for peace in Nepal and India.
He arrived in the Indian capital, accompanied by a delegation of monks and Aloka, the dog, whose constant presence alongside the pilgrims has captured hearts, has captured minds around the world, and even lent him considerable celebrity status.
Just sit down.
The arrival in India marks the beginning of their latest spiritual pilgrimage that will see the monks visit some revered holy sites. The monks will also meet Buddhist leaders and communities while in Delhi. Now, WION spoke to the Buddhist monk, the Venerable Panakara Thera, who told us about the significance of the peace walks, while Aloka sat by his side.
Across United States, is from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. is the journey of 19 Buddhist monks belong to the Theravada traditions. And we walk for 3,700 kilometers total. And this walk is a walk for peace, to raise the awareness of peace, loving kindness, and compassion. And of course, it's all going back to the mindfulness practicing, and that is what our message and the way we show people.
In October 2025, the Venerable Panakara Thera and a group of 19 to 24 monks launched their most ambitious undertaking. It was a 3,700-kilometer walk for peace across the U.S. The pilgrimage traversed 10 states over 108 days, often walking barefoot through harsh weather conditions, including snowstorms and even freezing temperatures.
And Aloka, the brown and white canine with a heart-shaped mark on the forehead, has been walking with the Buddhist monks since then. After months of relentless gains, Wall Street may be heading into its toughest test yet.
With geopolitical risks, inflation concerns, and a record-breaking IPO all converging at once, investors are bracing for a volatile week across global financial markets. There's more in this next report. Take a look. Global markets are entering a volatile phase as several major risks hit investors at the same time. Escalating tensions in the Gulf have reignited concerns about oil supply disruptions. At the same time, Wall Street's AI-driven rally is showing signs of fatigue after chipmaker Broadcom issued weaker than expected guidance linked to AI demand. Adding to the uncertainty, investors are also reassessing the outlook for US interest rates after stronger economic data reduced expectations of near-term policy easing. The latest US jobs report has become a key trigger for market weakness. Data suggests that the labor market remains resilient despite elevated borrowing costs and higher energy prices. For investors, however, strong economic data comes with a downside. A healthier economy could make it harder for inflation to return to the Federal Reserve's 2% target, reducing the likelihood of interest rate cuts and even raising concerns about further tightening. Treasury yields remain elevated, technology stocks have come under pressure, and markets are now closely watching upcoming inflation readings for fresh signals. Markets are also preparing for one of the biggest public listings in US history. SpaceX is expected to raise at least $75 billion in its upcoming IPO, valuing the company at more than $1.75 trillion. The sheer size of the offering could create significant shifts in market liquidity. Analysts warn that if large volumes of money rush into the stock at the same time, it could amplify volatility not just in SpaceX shares but across broader equity markets. With geopolitical tensions rising, inflation data due this week and a record-breaking IPO on the horizon, investors are facing a rare convergence of risks that could test the strength of the market rally. Business Bureau, WION, World is One.
Meta has asked a U.S. court to take action against Israeli spyware firm NSO Group.
They've said that the company breached a court order barring it from targeting WhatsApp users. Meta said WhatsApp recently disrupted new phishing attempts linked to NSO, which it said used tactics similar to previous malicious campaigns. Meta said that the latest activity involved one-click phishing attacks, which attempt to trick users into clicking malicious links that can compromise devices or accounts. The company said that the campaigns directed users to external websites and resembled earlier operations attributed to NSO Group.
WhatsApp said it removed test accounts and groups created by NSO on the platform as part of its efforts to disrupt the activity. The legal action by Meta follows a U.S. court order issued last year requiring NSO to stop targeting WhatsApp users. While the court later reduced the damages owed by NSO to Meta to $4 million, the injunction itself was seen as a major setback for the spyware company. NSO has faced long-standing allegations that its Pegasus surveillance tool has been used in operations linked to human rights abuses. Well, Meta said it has also received support from civil rights groups, security researchers, and privacy advocates, who have filed legal briefs opposing NSO's appeal against the permanent injunction.
And 4 teams will finally fulfill their dreams of playing the FIFA World Cup for the first time. That's Uzbekistan, Jordan, Curacao and Cape Verde.
And they will be joining the list of storied nations that have competed in the biggest sporting event in the world. Let's start with Curacao, the smallest nation to ever qualify for the World Cup. It is located in the Caribbean and is just north of the Venezuelan coast. Curacao is not a full-fledged independent country, but considered a country within the Netherlands, a status it acquired in 2010. And that's when Curacao was recognized by FIFA. The island, a population of just over 150,000 people and a landmass of just 444 square kilometers.
Now, the majority of players in the Curacao squad were born in the Netherlands. The man who has taken Curacao to the World Cup is also Dick Advocat, the head coach of who took charge of the team in January 2024. The Dutchman is vastly experienced and previously managed the Netherlands, South Korea, Belgium, Russia, Serbia and Iraq. He has plenty of World Cup experience. At 78, he is now set to become the oldest coach ever at a World Cup.
Now next up we have Cape Verde. Now the archipelago is located off the coast of West Africa and has a population of approximately 530,000. The country gained independence from Portugal in 1975 and the official language of Cape Verde is Portuguese.
The country only gained recognition from FIFA in 1986 and only started regular international football in the 1990s. Droves of people have migrated abroad, and one of the key reasons for their recent success is the talent identification of migrants from communities in Europe.
You mean the world? I see him in the world, like people, like I say, some people, they don't have food, they don't know if they're gonna sleep outside or inside, gonna eat late in the night, and just because of us, everyone is happy, proud, and now all the world will know Cape Verde. They can travel over there, they will see how beautiful this place is, and make some investment too. So for sure, like, everything will change for Cape Verde. I'm proud of that.
Now there will be two Asian nations who will make their debut. One of them is Jordan. The West Asian nation faced several heartbreaks leading up to the historic moment in 2025 when they secured qualification.
Well, Jordan head into the tournament with their greatest team of all time, and their reward is a date with defending champions Argentina and Lionel Messi, who they will face in Group J at the World Cup.
And the second Asian nation to make their debut will be Uzbekistan. The White Wolves also finally reached the promised land after a series of near misses, and now they come into the tournament with a strong squad.
But the most high-profile member of their contingent is head coach Fabio Cannavaro. The Italian World Cup winning captain knows what it takes to go all the way, and his experience will be vital, especially when Uzbekistan take on Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal in Group K.
Portugal, Colombia and Congo are very tough teams. Two of them are in the first 20 top national team in the world. We go to face them and I know it will be very difficult, but what I said also to my player, we don't have nothing to lose. It's the first time Uzbekistan is in the World Cup, and just I told them, enjoy. Because to have opportunity to play in the World Cup is not normal. So we don't need to think about nothing. We just need to think about to be enjoyed.
Now, Christopher Nolan's upcoming cinematic epic The Odyssey is already making waves at the box office weeks before its scheduled global release on 17th of July.
When advanced giant screen bookings opened in India on the 8th of June, fans rushed to secure their spots, only to be met with staggering ticket prices. In cities like Mumbai and Pune, premium tickets have surged to as high as 3,300 rupees, which is approximately $40. Until now, this has become the most expensive movie ticket ever sold in the country. Yet, the prices have done little to dampen the enthusiasm, as shows are selling out within minutes. In Pune as well, fans noticed evening shows at multiplexes had tickets ranging anywhere between 1,600 rupees to 3,000 rupees, which is nearly $19 to $36. Meanwhile, premium screenings in Bengaluru are around 900 to 1,000 rupees. Kolkata is charging a modest 680 to 710 rupees. And these astronomical prices, in the other cities at least, have sparked a fierce debate on social media regarding the true value of the viewing experience. While The Odyssey holds the distinction of being the first feature film in cinema history to be shot entirely using IMAX cameras, many fans were quick to point out almost all Indian multiplexes are equipped with standard digital IMAX rather than the massive 70mm film projection format that Nolan famously champions for his movies.
Now, despite the widespread sticker shock and technical complaints, the Nolan effect remains in full force. The backlash has not translated into poor sales. Rather, it has fueled a fear of missing out among cinephiles. And this marks a rare moment for Indian moviegoers who are finally able to book premium seats alongside the global audience thanks to aligned advanced booking windows. Adapted from Homer's foundational epic and featuring an ensemble cast led by Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, and Tom Holland, the Odyssey officially hits theaters worldwide on 17th of July. All right, with that, we call a wrap to World Day for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION The World is One. Do stay tuned.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their home. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their time, celebrating, singing, dancing, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Adhya Juneja and this is Speed News. Let's start with all the stories making headlines today. US Vice President J.D. Vance said that the United States will continue to pursue a long-term diplomatic agreement with Iran to prevent it from deploying and developing nuclear weapons, even if Israel opposes the effort. Vance stated that Washington believes securing a nuclear agreement fundamentally serves American interests, regardless of whether Israel approves. Iran's chief negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said Iran will overcome the United States naval blockade of its ports. Well, this as he accused Washington of using maritime restrictions as part of a broader campaign against Tehran and linked them to the latest escalation in the region. His remarks came after US President Donald Trump said earlier in the day that the blockade introduced in April would remain in force until a final peace agreement is reached between the two sides. Iran and Israel have halted attacks on each other after the two countries exchanged fire for the first time since April's truce. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel was temporarily holding fire. Hours after Tehran said it had ceased its military operations, Tehran launched missiles at Israel on Sunday, saying the attack was retaliation for an Israeli strike on Beirut. Israel struck back, triggering another round of Iranian missiles before Tehran announced it would cease fire. Netanyahu reportedly called off further strikes on Iran despite fighter jets being ready on the runway after a warning from US President Donald Trump. Israel struck back, triggering another round of Iranian missiles before Tehran announced it would cease fire. Tehran's international airport has reopened and flights carrying Hajj pilgrims from Saudi Arabia have landed. Tehran's international airport had suspended all incoming flights on Sunday after Iranian missile strikes on Israel. Israel retaliated with strikes of its own. It was the latest closure for the airport, one of two serving the Iranian capital, which had only reopened in the month of April after being shut for weeks during the West Asia war. An Indian-origin woman is set to challenge for the top job in America's second-largest city. Los Angeles City Council member Nithya Raman has advanced to a November runoff against Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, setting up an unexpected contest between two Democrats and former political allies. The 44-year-old Raman hedged past former reality TV star Spencer Pratt to secure a spot in the runoff against the incumbent mayor. Pratt, who entered the race after losing his home in the 2025 wildfires, had maintained a lead for days, but as vote counting continued following last week's election, Raman surged ahead. A US judge has blocked President Donald Trump's $100,000 annual fee on H-1B visa applications, ruling it an unlawful tax that